It's Friday, the 21st of February. We're glad you're watching Morning Express. Let's get to our press review. We begin with the Standard newspaper, and ODM is in the headlines today. Raila lays ground for 2017 ODM team. Stakes high as leaders line up to battle for key posts in Orange Party. Several personalities here. Party leader Raila Odinga. There's a deputy party leader, Wycliffe Oparanya, and others in the various positions that are contesting. Of course, party leader has Simba Arati and Odinga. Deputy party leader, there's Oparanya in Joho. Secretary General attracting 4 candidates as well, and others. So former PM leads members to back decision to expand the party's leadership by creating 9 new positions. Some split from top posts that have attracted fierce competition to prevent fallout from February 28th polls. That election will be happening next week. And of course, this is a story we'll look at again in more detail on page 2. But another story that's on the front page of the Standard this Friday: MPs, senators debate, or rather declare, total war on judiciary. And both houses of parliament have vowed to punish what they call quote-unquote activist judges as the bitterness between parliament and judiciary worsened following recent court rulings. And leaders from the Senate and National Assembly were yesterday spoiling for war, and they signaled that MPs would press for a review of the vetting law to target judges employed under Constitution 2010, a story that continues on page 6. And this, of course, will go, as this story will be analyzed in coming days, to just point to the flexing of muscles, because now that they're unhappy with the rulings coming from the judiciary, so talking about vetting, also about reducing the budgetary allocation to the judiciary, all to send a message. Interesting intrigues that we see playing out there. ODM story continues on page 2. So Raila endorses proposal to create extra slots in ODM leadership, and move is meant to avert possible political fallout after next week's election. And the lineup is there for you with all the candidates, and organizing secretary has quite a number. I see here 1, 2, 3, 4, about 7, 8 or 9 candidates that are seeking that one. But on the other side, we have Namwamba opposes push for more positions on the same page, and Budalangi MP Babu Namwamba has warned against the creation of new positions ahead of the forthcoming party elections. While addressing delegates in Vihiga, Namwamba campaigned. His campaign team vowed to oppose any moves to alter the party structure in the middle of campaign. So interesting that this is happening just days to the election. We did hear the Nairobi governor talk about postponing that particular election. So it will be one to watch to see how these elections play out now that those slots could be increased. Page 3. In the Standard, a sad story here. Man defiles 2 daughters, then kills 1 after row with wife. So it's a 35-year-old is said to have picked on the girls after differing with their mother, who ran away from their home. And this story plays out in Narok North, and the residents there are reeling in shock after a father defiled his 2 daughters and later hacked 1 to death. And you can read more about that story, and of course some statistics on domestic violence as well that are stipulated here. There's a picture on food donation. It was joy in Kapua, Turkana Central yesterday when they delivered food aid from Kerio Valley Development Authority to residents. And Turkana leaders said more residents are dying from the biting hunger. Also on the same page, MCA's push for castration of sex offenders. So Baringo County Assembly has proposed a legislation that, if enacted, will see men found guilty of defilement, rape, incest, and bestiality castrated, going to the whole way with that particular proposal to changes in the law. Page 4, in the Standard, merger with rival to cost NAT 20 million shillings. Remember, there's been talk that there's a possible merger. Of course, Kupet has said that it did not, and it is not in agreement with that kind of a position. Sosion says the money will be used for convening a special meeting of top leaders and delegates. The planned merger between NAT and Kupet will cost NAT 20 million shillings, as is the headline there. So signed agreement, according to NAT Kupet's national chairman Mboko Melemba, participated in the drafting of the agreement and signed the document that also spells out the matrix of implementation of that merger. And Atwoli on the same page, the corrupt are fighting Kotu, that is what he's saying. He claimed that government operatives are using a teachers' union to bring down the workers' body, and more details are there. Devolution Wars is a story that continues on page 6 and page 7. On page 6, it's all about that Parliament now vowing to punish quote-unquote activist judges, and those rulings, they say, activists in nature. And also MCAs seek to impeach Wambora again. So after he's still not out of the woods yet in as far as the county assembly members in his county are concerned. But we saw Justice Mata, who's the speaker there, declined to retable that motion to impeach the ejected governor. He argued that the matter was still pending in court. And on page 7, Wabukala warns on supremacy battle. The Anglican Church of Kenya, ACK, has warned that the strained relations between governors and senators will undermine devolution. And we're also seeing judiciary being brought into that same vicious war as well. MCAs a plot to remove of Joho's executive team. So they want to remove the team there from Mombasa, but they intend to spare the governor, Joho. So ward reps, however, say they will still support governor despite that planned purge of the top officials over ineptness. That is what they're claiming. And read more about the ICC. That Hague process and trials there are continuing on page 9. Ex-minister called for evictions. That is what the ICC has been told. To Fever Pitch now, all your sports stories. And Gor Mahia stuns City Stars is the headline today in the back page of the Standard. Serenkuma strikes as Kogalo launched title defense with win. Gor Mahia opened their 2014 Kenya Premier League by collecting maximum points after stopping Nairobi City Stars 2-0 at the City Stadium. Also inside Fever Pitch today, Kinua drews injuries that took toll on athletes at 2012 London Olympic Games. That's on page 74. And there's another story there on Gunners. That's Arsenal and AC Milan as well. The extra pullout is inside the Standard, and the headline today, remember, Kimathi's, that's Dedan Kimathi's commemoration, 57th, was marked recently, just at the beginning of the week. And the headline today is covers that, Kimathi's propaganda war, the freedom fighter, with colonial administration comes to light, and that is the battle that was media battle with the colonial administration. So details of this story continues in page 2 to 4. There's revisiting the propaganda war during the emergency period. That's inside the extra pullout, and revisiting the Mau Mau's propaganda as well. Other stories covered in extra, the dramatic picture story. Look up that pictorial which tells you a story on page 5. And device keeps homes safe. We all want our homes safe, so there's a device that promises to do just that on page 6. And popular Mursik linked to cancer. How is that? Details are on page 7 of extra. And of course, we'll be looking at the Pulse, which is also inside the Standard newspaper later on, and the Nairobian as well. But let's first go to the Daily Nation. Kenya's wealthiest political dynasties for the second day in a row. The Nation staying on the richest people in Kenya, who those are. And today, attention is on the political dynasties. Highlighted here, Mwai Kibaki, besides owning large tracts of land, he also has interests and investments in hotels, agriculture, insurance, real estate, and banking. There's former President Daniel Moi as well, Mama Ngina Kenyatta, Raila Odinga, Simeon Nyachai, Harun Mwau, Kamlesh Patni have been listed on this front page. And report says, in this country, money and politics exist. Cheek by Joe, many great fortunes are built on massive land holdings, which have become gold because of interest by international buyers. But there is danger. Experts warn the dazzling wealth of political families is a potential source of risk in the future. And its continued coverage on Kenya's richest on page 2. Political families own half of private wealth. And on page 3, my guy, are you a member of the rich club? Is a question posed on this feature story, and it seeks to break down what it takes to qualify to be that guy in that club. So if your net assets, financial holdings, and business interests add up to 86 million shillings and above, welcome to the high table. If not, get ready for lessons on how to mint big money. Page 4, luxury brand stores expected to come knocking for a share as well in that space of Kenya's richest billionaires club, only for high risk takers on page 5. And there's a picture here of British billionaire Sir Richard Branson next to a model of the Virgin Galactic, the world's first commercial space line, at the Farnborough International Air Show in Hampshire, South England last year but one. So the super rich have greater propensity for risk, which investment experts say propels them to even greater heights. So the odds are for them, not against. And report on affluent raises queries as some in the league are left out. So the recent New World Wealth Report on super rich Kenyans has brought to the fore questions about the methodology researchers use when ranking these individuals. It was interesting to note one of them had said he was in fact never consulted as that list was being compiled. But those Kenyan richest are up until page 5, because on page 6 we go back to supremacy wars in the Daily Nation, and senators and MPs plot to cripple the courts, and the two houses accuse judiciary of assisting impunity. That's what they say: corruption, theft, and they're also terming it as a responsible use of public resources. So leaders are angered by the judiciary, and you can read what they have to say there. Kithure Kindiki, Justin Muturi, who's the speaker, Moses Wetangula as well. And on that page, ODM creates new posts to stem fallout, that stretching and expansion of the space in leadership. ODM is seeking to do that to ensure that they get everybody who's seeking a position happy. And it will be a story we'll be analyzing in coming days to see whether in fact that works for or against ODM in the long run. Ruto used parables to incite the public is what a witness alleged in the ongoing trial at The Hague. Witness accuses Deputy President N. Kosgei of having called for eviction of groups. That's the 12th prosecution witness, who yesterday told the ICC how William Ruto and former Tinderet MP Henry Kosgei allegedly used parables to call for the eviction of non-Kalenjins from their land. And more details are covered there for you. There's also that story on page 9, fresh bid to stop vetting. Judges and magistrates are in that fresh bid to stop their vetting. And of course, we have had members of parliament and the senators as well say they will ensure vetting happens. House team clears railway project, back page of the Daily Nation. And committee says due process was followed in awarding the tender for construction of the standard gauge railway. MPs want railway fast-tracked, and that is the committee chairman, Maina Kamanda, said the railway project should be fast-tracked because it is about this country and not about personal interest. Then there's the Star this Friday, headlined by Uhuru's TNA excluding excluding us in decisions. That is what the United Republican Party, URP, their partner in the coalition, is claiming. It's interesting that I just said US. Right, so Ruto's party calls NEC talks over coalition. That headline is huge. And the story continues on page 6. The headline picture here on the front page of the Star: East Africa single tourist visa launched, and you have there the presidents. There's Yoweri Museveni of Uganda, Kagame of Rwanda, Uhuru Kenyatta with the first beneficiaries of the 2-year East Africa tourist visa. Those who are able to get that. Degree not necessary, that's what Katana is telling Joho Court. Mombasa County Deputy Governor has now challenged the educational requirement set by the Constitution for persons vying for President, Deputy President, Governor, and Deputy Governor seats. Another story here is Marende to pay 475,000 shillings for upkeep of child. The former speaker was yesterday ordered to pay that amount for upkeep of a girl he sired 4 years ago. And details are on page 6. Poachers kill 6 rhinos in a week. Now that is tragic. It's a story that's on page 2 in the Star today. 6 rhinos have been killed in 1 week, and this in spite of new anti-poaching laws that stipulate hefty fines or even life imprisonment for offenders. One rhino was wounded by poachers and is under treatment at Ol Pejeta Ranch in Laikipia. Ruto didn't meddle in rail tender. The committee that cleared the railway project, Standard Gauge Railway, said as well. And also on page 3, Kibaki says ICC expert is an intellectual con. Remember, there was that expert that was at the ICC that did link Kibaki to some of the atrocities committed in 2007, 2008. Police killed missing man in mosque riots. That's what the family are saying. The Masjid Musa riots we saw earlier on, and the details are there for you. Also read about Thierry lawyer who testified in a robbery case, and a cop faces charges for losing gun. We have not gotten paid. We've not been paid. That's what the Ember Boot evictees are saying on page 7 in the Star today, and you can read more about that report there. Finally, the People this Friday leads with MPs declare war on judges and showdown. Parliament launches onslaught on the judiciary to hit back at judges and cow them from making rulings, quashing decisions reached by the legislature against governors. That is a story that is in the People today. Another story that you will find in here: Kimayo Kavuludi, Barry Hatchett have sacked officers, and Inspector General of Police David Kimayo has finally eaten humble pie, and he has let go 5 senior police officers who had stayed put at their stations even after being fired by the police service vetting panel. ODM seals deal. Party ratifies 57 slots to accommodate more candidates and avoids split is another story that is in the People newspaper this Friday. Among other stories, there is a mystery of missing mosque suspects. Mombasa police tell court he escaped from custody. Those are just some of the reports that you will find there. There's also inside the People, world's heavily bearded woman they can't stop calling sir. And after years of being taunted for beard, which appeared since age 11, Kauru decided never to shave them on being baptized as a Sikh. Several stories that are also inside the People. ICC witness claims Ruto Kosgei incited Kalenjins, as we saw in another paper as well. And Waiguru wants common market speeded up. Some of the stories that you'll find there, including MPs take on judiciary for protecting governors. So read those stories and so much more in the local dailies today. Remember to grab yourself a copy of the Standard newspaper. The extra pullout is there, and many more stories.